Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back into the show. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. Guys, today I'm going to be giving you my 8 must-draft wide receivers for the 2022 season. And I'm going to start with the first receiver on my list, and that is Keenan Allen. Guys, Keenan Allen is one of the most slept-on wide receivers going into the draft every single season. And a big reason for this is because he's really not the flashiest player in the NFL, but this is the most reliable receiver in fantasy football, right up there with Davante Adams and a few others. This guy, 3 out of the past 5 seasons, has finished as a top 10 red zone target. And anybody that really follows fantasy football closely knows that red zone targets are the most important factor when it comes to wide receiver production on a season-to-season basis. And so considering the fact that only Davante Adams and Travis Kelce have been more consistent red zone target hogs than Keenan Allen over the past 5 seasons, you know that Keenan Allen is one of the most reliable assets you can have on your fantasy football team. And on top of that, massive touchdown regression is coming this year for Keenan Allen because look at all the factors at play. One, he has what's going to be by far the best quarterback of his entire career in a third-year Justin Herbert throwing him the ball. He's in an extremely explosive offense loaded with other offensive weapons. And despite being absolutely peppered with red zone targets last year, he only had 5 touchdowns. That's a flukishly low touchdown number, and we know that touchdown numbers tend to even themselves out over time. And, after this season, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the touchdown regression really start to show for Keenan Allen. I wouldn't be surprised at all, if he had 15 plus touchdowns this year. I would say that he's going to have a minimum of 10 and a ceiling of around 18. So look for massive touchdown regression to come for Keenan Allen this year in the way of scoring touchdowns. And we know that he's extremely consistent for PPR formats because he's a lock every single week to receive double-digit targets and have 7+ receptions every single game. And on top of that, he's a receiver that can also get you 100-yard performances. This guy has everything going for him, and he's going as the number 15 wide receiver off the board. Give me a break, guys. This dude is a top 10 wide receiver and should be one of the top 10 wide receivers drafted in fantasy football every single year. Next player on my list is going to be Justin Jefferson. Okay, guys, we have a 2-year sample size with Justin Jefferson now, and this guy is the real deal. He's a receiver that only needs 5 or 6 targets a game to really produce awesome wide receiver 1 numbers because right up there with Jamar Chase and Tyreek Hill, he is the best big play wide receiver in the entire NFL. He's an absolute artist as far as his route running abilities. He's got good speed. He's 6'3", so he's got the length and he's got the ability to make contested catches. So this dude has every aspect you want a wide receiver to have from a pure talent standpoint, and he's got a very slept-on quarterback in Kirk Cousins throwing him the ball. So I think that this dude's going to have another really good season in his 3rd year. There's really no reason to think that Justin Jefferson is going to slow down in any way, and this dude is a must-draft player for your fantasy team in 2022. Next player on my list is going to be Amari Cooper. Okay, guys, Amari Cooper now has Deshaun Watson throwing him the ball. This is by far no lack of respect to Dak Prescott, but this is by far the best quarterback Amari Cooper has ever had throwing in the ball. I mean, by a long shot. I would tell you this right now. Deshaun Watson is right up there with Josh Allen as being the best dual threat quarterback in the entire NFL. I would throw Lamar Jackson in that list, but Lamar Jackson can't really pass. So when it comes to elite rushing abilities and elite passing abilities, Deshaun Watson is quite possibly the best quarterback you could possibly have in fantasy football, and his upside this year is the quarterback 1 due to that dual threat ability, and Amari Cooper is his number 1 wide receiver. So Amari Cooper is going to absolutely feast in this offense, not to mention the fact that Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are going to take a lot of the attention off of Amari Cooper because teams have to utterly stack the box to stop this offense. We know that it's a run-first attack. Now they have to watch out for Deshaun Watson burning them on the ground. So this is such a scary team when it comes to having to prevent the run. I mean, it's really a priority of a team every week to shut this team's run game down. So, less attention is naturally going to be on all the wide receivers. So Amari Cooper is going to have an absolute field day, and his talent plus having the best offensive opportunity he's ever had in his career on being on this elite Browns offense, I think that Amari Cooper is just going to absolutely explode this year, guys. Next player on my list is going to be Davante Adams. Okay, guys, if you had any doubt that Davante Adams is going to produce going to the Oakland Raiders, I'm telling you right now, don't worry about it. This guy's going to be just fine. In fact, he's still going to be an elite receiving option and one of the best pass catching assets you can have in fantasy football this year. And I'll tell you why. Derek Carr is a way better quarterback than everyone likes to give him credit for, and he can't run. So they have no option but to pass. They really don't have an elite running game as far as their backfield. Derek Carr is never a threat to burn you on the ground. So this offense is going to be forced to be a pass-first attack. They have no choice. This offense is going to be led by Darren Waller and Davante Adams, okay? And Davante Adams is the number one red zone target hog in fantasy football over the past 5 years. In fact, over the past 5 years, Davante Adams is the only player to be a top 10 red zone target every single year. So we know that this dude's going to absolutely get peppered with targets in the red zone. And so that, combined with having a quarterback that is way better than a lot of people like to give him credit for, I see massive upside this year for Davante Adams. Is his upside as high as it was in the Packers offense? No. But even if he does 80% of what he did in the Packers offense, he still has the potential on any given season to finish as the wide receiver one. So you need to draft Davante Adams for your fantasy team. He's going to be a beast. Next player on my list is going to be Mike Evans. Okay, guys, no Antonio Brown in this offense means that Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are going to absolutely explode. Look, we saw it in the 2019 season when it was the all Mike Evans and Chris Godwin show back when Jameis Winston was the quarterback. These guys, when they are the main focal point of the offense, just absolutely they just go off. We don't even know what's going to happen with Leonard Fournette, so are they even going to have a good run game? This is going to be a pass-heavy attack led by the GOAT, Tom Brady, and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are both going to have an absolute field day. I have Mike Evans ranked a little bit ahead of Chris Godwin just because he's the slightly more talented wide receiver. He's taller. He gets targeted a little bit more in the red zone because of his ability to create matchup problems. So Mike Evans is going to be an absolute monster as far as fantasy football is concerned this year. Off the top of my head, I think he's going as the wide receiver 9 right now. This dude definitely has top 5 wide receiver upside. And in the best case scenario, even top 3 wide receiver upside. So draft Mike Evans for your fantasy team. He's going to be a beast. Next player on my list is going to be Micheal Gallup. Okay, guys. Micheal Gallup in the 2020 season, when he actually played a full year, led all of the Cowboys wide receivers as far as air yards per target. They prefer Micheal Gallup for their big plays. So when the Cowboys draw up big plays and they're going to chuck the ball down the field as far as they can, Micheal Gallup is the guy that they go to. Considering the fact that he has awesome contested catch abilities, great speed, awesome athleticism, this dude is a great big play wide receiver that a lot of people just don't know about. He's going as the 44th receiver off the board. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. CeeDee Lamb being the number 8 receiver and Micheal Gallup being the number 44 receiver. You are out of your mind if you think that CeeDee Lamb is a better value in the draft as the 8th receiver off the board as Micheal Gallup is as the 44th receiver off the board. Just fade CeeDee Lamb early in the draft Micheal Gallup. You're getting a receiver that's going to give you weeks where he outperforms CeeDee Lamb, and he might finish a little bit behind CeeDee Lamb, as an overall fantasy standpoint by the end of the year, but there's not even a guarantee of that. He could finish ahead of CeeDee Lamb, and even if he only produces 75 to 80% of what CeeDee Lamb does, he's the 44th receiver off the board. Fade CeeDee Lamb early in the draft and just draft Micheal Gallup. He's an awesome value. Next player on my list is going to be Chris Godwin. Guys, Chris Godwin, like I said, a few years ago when Jameis Winston was the quarterback and there was no Antonio Brown on the team, this dude was peppered with targets. He finished as the wide receiver 2 that season. Chris Godwin was the number 2 wide receiver in football that year. And now it's kind of the same situation, except you've got an even better quarterback throwing in the ball that doesn't create as many turnovers. So the upside for this Tampa Bay offense is absolutely insane. And Chris Godwin is going to be the benefactor of being in that offense. I see him having a huge breakout season. We also know that Tom Brady loves his slot receivers, so he's going to absolutely eat in PPR formats. Next player on my list is Cooper Kupp. Okay, save the best for last. In case you had any doubts that Cooper Kupp was going to perform this year, just know that you shouldn't be worried about Cooper Kupp. Will he produce what he did last year? Probably not, because that's darn near impossible. I mean, that was one of the best wide receiver seasons, if not the best wide receiver season we've ever seen in fantasy football. So can Cooper Kupp repeat that? Probably not. But even if he produces 80% of what he did last year, even if he produces 75% of what he did last year, he is going to be awesome for fantasy football. And look, the Rams signed Allen Robinson, so that's at least going to take a little bit of attention off Cooper Kupp. And they might re-sign Odell Beckham. So it's not like teams can come out every single week and just put all their attention on Cooper Kupp. This is a very creative offense with a genius offensive coach in Sean McVay calling plays for the offense. So he's going to know how to draw up his offense in ways that at least takes attention off Cooper Kupp early in games. That way he could feast later on when they're in pivotal situations. So I don't think that Cooper Kupp is going to see a significant decrease in fantasy production this year. Will it go down a little bit? Sure. But even if he's remotely close to what he did last year, he should be the easy number one wide receiver off the board. All right, guys, I appreciate you tuning into the video, and I'll catch you later.